Subscribe to MDR. Like for more.
Several years after Karan Johar made the classic My Name is Khan, a Bollywood film that stands out from the rest when the majority of Hindi films were rom-coms about non-residential Indians or about troubled rich teenagers, with Student of the Year, he returned to doing all of the same. And guess what? He did it shamelessly. Because what's wrong with that? On the surface, the film Student of the Year too seems to be a simple rom-com about troubled rich teens who end up becoming NRIs after the movie has ended. But when you look at the stakes of the film's success, especially in 2012, it becomes so much more. It was exactly 10 years ago from when this episode of MDR has been posted that the Student of the Year film was released. And to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Karan Johar's 2012 classic, I think it's time to analyze Student of the Year 10 years later. Three of the current Bollywood scenarios' major stars have had their launching pads via Student of the Year: Siddarth Malhotra, Alia Bhatt, and Varun Dhawan. This film was a debut acting role for each of these actors alongside Kayozi Irani, who's Boman Irani's son, I hope I said that right, Sana Saeed, the child actress from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Manjot Singh, and a number of other actors. There was no need for Karan Johar to make a film such as Student of the Year. He could have worked with the leading actors in the Indian film industry from a single call, or he could have given this film to a director working under his company Dharma Productions just as easily. In spite of this, he decided to make the film himself on his very own. If it turned out that this film was not a success, then all three individuals' careers would be ruined, or at least would be delayed for the foreseeable future. And because Student of the Year involved three actors who weren't established in the same way that Shah Rukh Khan, Kajol, and Rani were, its success had so much more greater significance than Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Considering the film was Johar's directorial debut at the time, the only career he could establish with Kuch Kuch Hota Hai was his own. There's a lot one can say about Student of the Year in a single line because it can be dismissed as just another Karan Johar commercial flick. The film can be easily discounted for being a stale extension of the college years subplot from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, or for having the same brothers reunion from Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, or the same kind of love triangle as in Kal Ho Na Ho, or for taking the cheating plotline from Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. But all four assumptions would be wrong because it is very much a mixture of all of them. Each writer comes up with a unique story every time they write. But there's an old saying that says one person can only tell one true story. And that's true. A writer's defining story is always only one, and everything that comes after it is a fallout from that. Attempting to recreate that same magic, sometimes failing and sometimes succeeding, having dominated the Bollywood scene for the past 2 decades, Karan Johar can be accused of repeating the same movies. But credit where credit's due, he has done it cleverly over the years. Student of the Year is Karan Johar's definitive film, whether we like it or not, whether even he likes it or not. There's no doubt that this is his view of love, friendship, and youth. All of these elements are intertwined to create the 2.5-hour reunion that ends in 2 seconds following a physical altercation and a verbal one about which person has hypothetically slept with more girls. In its runtime, Student of the Year does nothing extraordinary. It just gives 3 new faces a perfect storyline template to launch with. In the process, it takes them through their youth while maturing them just enough to allow them to present themselves as young, yet wise, and ready to take on the world, as if it was theirs in the first place. It is certain that the music of Student of the Year stands the test of time, irrespective of whether the story holds up. Shekhar and Vishal have created a soundtrack that is eternally youthful, which is what they excel at. I remember listening to the disco song on speakers as a kid, and how Ishq Wala Love gave me those chilly winter vibes when I thought about loving someone who did not exist. There's no setting that makes a song in this film not work. Whether it's played at a wedding, birthday party, or in a cafe, it doesn't matter. From Radha to Vele to Cooker, everything is fantastic and unique. It's funny because they still play everywhere, so they haven't aged at all. It's just us who've aged. that same old bittersweet feeling like in all Keijo films. As a preteen heading to college in a couple of years, I was eagerly anticipating the release of this movie about a group of high school students. This big-budget banner film would introduce 3 new talents to the Indian cinema scene, and the film would mainly take place in the city of Dehradun, where I have close ties. In the eyes of my generation, this was going to be the Kuch Kuch Hota Hai of our time, and I would honestly give anything to go back in time and watch this movie for the first time. It is difficult to say if Karan Johar's films from the 2000s were good or bad. It is likely that some of us have grown out of them while others have not. Some of us like to recall them fondly as part of our nostalgia, but others would simply like to forget about them as bad cinema. 10 years have passed since Student of the Year, and I can happily say that when I played this movie on its 10th anniversary, I returned to being a 10-year-old, innocent and happy, knowing only what's right and forgetting the wrongs. Some films just attach themselves to you, and for me, Student of the Year was one. What about you?